Tony Katz.
It's Kendall and Casey.
The Amber and Nigel show.
All right, when does your show start? Do we know? I feel like I've been promoting this for 9 years now.
This is the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
Well, CNN is having a week. And it's Monday. You know those kind of weeks where it's Monday and you've already felt like you've lived through a month of Sundays. Well, that's indeed today for CNN and all those in it. I am Tony Kinnett. This is the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC. And the reason that CNN is having just an absolute real one here at the beginning of this, the 24th of June, is because in a couple of days, Thursday to be precise, the Biden-Trump debate, the very first one here in the 2024 presidential cycle, is going down. And there's already some trepidation about it. This could be indeed a very critical debate. Both Biden and Trump have quite a bit to prove. Trump has to prove that he has done, or he would be able to do better than the last couple of debates, that he can provide what a lot of people experienced during his first term. Biden needs to prove that he's not dead. Obviously, some really high expectations for both candidates. And that's where things start to get rough for CNN. So the CNN crew gave the Biden administration a lot of, let's say perks. And these are rules for the debate that the Biden campaign asked for and were agreed to approximately 37.6 seconds later. This includes things like no studio audience, because you don't want anybody shouting, let's go, or Brandon, or something like that. TV breaks, the very first presidential debate in history to have commercial breaks, which, by the way, reminds me of a Simpsons sketch in which Nixon faces Kennedy and they take a moment to go away and talk about their fondness for Duff beer. So I love that prophecy is finally coming true. Presumably these TV breaks are to give the president of the United States a chance to absorb the souls of some nearby orphans. Not necessarily known quite yet, but it's kind of up for grabs. Last but not least, a mute button, which is going to be in the hands of the moderator. The moderator will decide if the candidate has talked too much, and then they'll mute them. Presumably, this would also keep either individual from interjecting during a statement made by the other one. And this is where you get some of the most famous interjections throughout history, in which a candidate says something like, that's not true, or it depends on what the meaning of the word is, or something along those lines. Various moments throughout history have been saved by not having a mute button. That brings us down to who's holding the mute button. Because, if CNN actually hired some unbiased moderators to cover this thing, then that's not really a great decision, but, maybe it would be applied fairly. Oh, it's Jake Tapper and Dana Bash. Oh, no. And the crowd goes mild. Now, if you don't know, Jake Tapper and Dana Bash are indeed very left-wing anchors over on CNN. And they have made no secret of bashing Trump quite openly. And by the way, that's what Carolyn Levitt, who is the Trump campaign national press secretary, pointed out when she went on Casey Hunt's show. And things really went downhill. So the interview only lasted 3 minutes. And guys, let's be real. Everyone in the entire media political sphere is spending this time looking forward to the debate. There's nothing super duper special in that. So you bring people on to kind of get, where do you think is going to happen? Where's it going to go? Who's going to ask what? The basic shindig. So the entire interview only lasted 3 minutes between Casey Hunt and Carolyn Levitt because, well, things get a little bit stuffy. A bit testy. So here is good old Casey. Well,
He's been doing that across this great nation to all corners of this country. That's why he was in Detroit, Michigan last week. He was in Philadelphia for a big rally on Saturday night. And that's why President Trump is knowingly going into a hostile environment on this very network, on CNN, with debate moderators who have made their opinions about him very well known over the past 8 years and their biased coverage of him. So President Trump is willing to bring his message to every corner of this country, to voters, to ensure that he wins this election in November. He looks forward to doing that. And I know the American public look forward to hearing from him.
So I'll just say my colleagues, Jake Tapper and Dana Bash, have acquitted themselves as professionals as they have covered campaigns and interviewed candidates from all sides of the aisle. I'll also say that if you talked to analysts of debates previous, that if you're attacking the moderators, you're usually losing. So I really want to focus in on what these two men are going to do and say.
I love interviewers like that. So, so first of all, to recap, Carolyn outlined, she says, look, Trump is doing well. He's building a broader based coalition. He's in a lot of swing states. That's why he's agreed to go on CNN in hostile territory and do a debate in which two moderators who don't like him are the moderators. That's all she said. That was the big insult that was flung. And Casey Hunt immediately, like she's reaching for every oyster that she can find. She's got to find those pearls. She got to clutch those pearls. Oh, no, you can't say that about my colleagues. She says they've acquitted themselves. They are unbiased in their coverage. Why, I mean, Jake Tapper would never openly root for Biden or Trump or something like that.
Caused and exacerbated by President Trump himself. It's been a time of several significant and utterly avoidable failures, most tragically, of course, the unwillingness to respect facts and science and do everything that can be done to save lives during a pandemic. It has been a time where truth and fact were treated with disdain. It is a time of cruelty, where official inhumanity, such as child separation, became the official shameful policy of the United States.
Okay, so just a real fun fact is Tapper's acquitted himself. He certainly wouldn't forget that was an Obama-era policy that was actually ended by the Trump administration. Anyway, that's not necessarily important in this particular moment in time. Certainly, you might say, well, that's COVID. And sure, a lot of things that the mainstream media, purported and threw out there about the 2020 election and about COVID were proven to be false, like how they said that it didn't come from Wuhan and it was xenophobic to suggest it came from China, or that masks were incredibly effective, especially that like crochet one that you got at Build-A-Bear. Of course, but that was COVID. Surely Dana Bash and Jake Tapper haven't done the same thing this year.
The dehumanizing rhetoric of Adolf Hitler is once again alive and well on a national political stage. This time, of course, in the United States, this time given life by former president and current Republican presidential frontrunner Donald Trump.
Let's recognize this comment for what it is, a long-standing anti-Semitic trope that the true allegiance for Jews is to their religion rather than their country. It was used in Nazi Germany to justify the arrests, persecutions, and mass killings.
Oh, okay, so there are two anchors who take all kinds of micro statements suggesting that Donald Trump is actually a secret anti-Semitic Nazi. Ah, yes, the guy who did the Abraham Accords secretly hates the Jews. Whose son-in-law is Jewish. Ah, okay. Yes. Yeah, definitely some unbiased individuals. And then Casey tries to move on from this, starts to say, well, if you're attacking the moderators, you're losing. So the unbiased thing lasted exactly 15 and a half seconds. So first of all, you're wrong. And also, you guys are losing. Fantastic stuff. So the interview with Trump campaign's national secretary continues until it doesn't.
So it takes someone 5 minutes to Google Jake Tapper, Donald Trump, to see that Jake Tapper has consistently, frequently likened President Trump to Adolf Hitler.
Ma'am, I'm going to stop this interview if you continue to attack my colleagues. I would like to talk about Joe Biden and Donald Trump, who you work for.
Yes.
If you are here to speak on his behalf, I am willing to have this conversation.
I am stating facts that your colleagues have stated in the past.
Okay.
Now,
I'm sorry, guys. We're going to come back out to the panel. Caroline, thank you very much for your time. You are welcome to come back at any point. She is welcome to come back and speak about Donald Trump and
She's welcome to come back and speak, just not right now. Not right now when she's saying things about my colleagues, my very vaulted, amazing journalist colleagues. She says the debate's not fair. Why not just let her say it? And if she's wrong, then you get to dunk on that, right? Right? I mean, isn't that how it works? If CNN actually does a pretty good job, like there have been debates moderated in the last couple of weeks. In fact, I was actually cited by MSNBC, for God's sakes, in which I thought that one of the networks that hosted one of the primary debates did a better job than I expected. They could do that. No, they're going to actually prove Donald Trump right before the debate even begins. So fantastic stuff. So then Casey Hunt goes on Twitter because she's getting destroyed over this, because this is a horrible look for CNN right before the presidential debate. And that's when things just get absolutely special. So Casey Hunt first decides to go out there and point out that, you should never talk about my colleagues. I'm just very protective, of my colleagues, and that's just the most important thing to me, all these things like that. And everyone absolutely destroys her. I mean, it is a bloodbath on social media. And the best part, though, is that she's talking about how important journalism is and that no one at CNN is favoring anyone. Her banner photo above her profile picture is her shaking hands with Joe Biden. So really great stuff there. Oh, also, she really liked that time that Senator Rand Paul was assaulted.
New details today on the incident that left Senator Rand Paul with 6 broken ribs. This might be one of my favorite stories, although, of course, we don't want to. Clearly, Senator Paul is still struggling.
No, I said that on the air at MSNBC. So CNN's having a real one. And by the way, not just in the political stuff, also maybe $1 billion lawsuit. We're going to talk about that with Nick Fondacaro from the Media Research Center up next. This is the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.